Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the June 2025 Poetry Superhighway live open reading. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm your person today, making this happen. Glad to have you all here with us for our open reading. Just an open reading today. I say just as if that's not a tremendous thing to do on its own, to have the opportunity to hear people share their work, people brave enough to do so, and be inspired and delighted and possibly angered by what some people do. Who knows what could happen in today's festivities. We're going to get to our open reading in a few minutes. A couple of items of business. If you're here, and you probably are if you're hearing this, and you would like to read, please send me a message in the chat if you haven't already done so and we haven't already confirmed, like Amanda Harris did. Amanda, you're in. Gotcha. You get to read one poem, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in your poetry world. That's how it works. That's what's going on. Just a quick announcement of things happening in poetry superhighway land. As you may have seen in our emails, we are currently asking for donations of prizes for our 27th annual poetry contest. The whole idea behind that is that if you donate a prize, you officially become a sponsor of the contest. And as a sponsor, you get some cool things like a free classified ad in our newsletter, which is pretty cool. Goes out to thousands of poets every week, gets posted to our website as well. You get your name on the top of the contest page as a sponsor. And really, more importantly, you help contribute to the communal aspect of the contest, in which we offer a prize to every single person who has entered just for entering. Of course, people win the contest. Once the contest starts, there's a $1 per poem entry fee. 100% of that money gets divided up between the 3 winning poets who are chosen from scores that are given to the poems by judges who read them blindly. That is, with the poet's name removed. I think they all have vision. We'll check on that and get back to you. But anyone who enters the contest gets a prize just for entering. We've been able to do that every year of this contest. This is the 27th year of doing that, and now is the time where we're soliciting your sponsorship. So if you would like to do that, head on over to our website, poetrysuperhighway.com/PSH, and all the info is there on how to do that. And I'll quickly mention that our next show, we're kind of in the middle of some weird timing for me. In about a month, I'm going to be on vacation. And then after that, the contest will have started. And then a couple weeks later is when we will be having our next PSH live show, which will be a conversation with the contest judges. So not an open reading as we typically do. So it'll be your opportunity to hear from them on what they're looking for when they're reading your poems. So pretty good insights are available to you as you're putting your entries together. And then our next actual open reading after that will be in I believe in early August. So make the most of today. It's our last quote open reading until August. You guys are going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. So that having been said, this is who I have on the list so far: Lorraine MacMillan, Rose, Mary Boehm, Trevor Cunningham, LB Sedlacek, Charlie Brice, Judy Brice, Kathryn Paulsen, Amanda Harris, and Aaliyah. If anyone else is here and would like to read, let me know. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you do need to join the Zoom in order to sign up to read once you're here. All right, we're going to get going right now. On deck, our second reader will be Rose. Please welcome our first reader, Lorraine MacMillan. Hello, Lorraine.
Well, hello, everybody. What I was doing today was dog sitting for my sister, and she has a dog named Lady. So I wrote this poem today called Lady. My sister has the best dog that we all love so much. Her name is Lady. She's big, smart, and has a kind heart. Lady loves to play and run, and even sits out in the sun. Lady loves doggy daycare and has so many dog friends. When she arrives, she just blends in. Going to the dog park is a win, as more fun does begin. Lady is unique. She loves to protect us and sit by our side. She has her own spot on the couch as she shows her pride. We love to watch Lady run so fast. She enjoys treats, ready for more, as yes, it is her we so adore.
Woof,
Yeah.
Lorraine. Cool way to open our reading. A big fan of animals. We were talking before we went live about goats on roofs. I'm now going to be looking into how I can make that happen. Here just feels like an important thing to add to the house, environmentally, spiritually, etc. So I appreciate the content and topic of your poem. What's going on in your poetry world?
Well, actually, I have a lot of anxiety inside of me, so I have OCD and I'm obsessing over stuff. And one of the things I'm obsessing over is writing. I don't know why, but writing and writing and writing and not, oh my gosh. And I don't know if it makes sense. Well, that one made sense, but that's what I'm doing. I think it's just to keep, I don't know what it is about, but anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm writing.
Writing is good. That's a fantastic report to give, because ultimately it's about the writing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if we do nothing with it. So as long as you enjoy that, I think you are in good shape. So keep it up, Lorraine. And thank you so much for opening our reading today. All right, round of applause for Lorraine MacMillan. On deck is Trevor Cunningham. Please welcome now Mary Boehm. Hello, Rosemary.
Okay, I was just unmuting myself. I wasn't sure whether I should be serious or surreal or funny. And since Lorraine started with a dog, I thought I put in another animal. I'm coming from Lima, Peru. And we have winter here, and I'm cold. And here is my humorous poem, which I forget my humorous poems and don't read them. You know about the Selkies, I suppose. The Irish and the Scottish talk about them a lot. Well, this poem will explain itself, but if you have questions, you can ask me afterwards. Another mermaid story. A small brown village on the Cornish coast. Ruby married Fred. She'd had enough of filing in the museum for fishing and smuggling. Fred liked Ruby because she was round and sleek as a seal. A slight scent of ocean hovered over her skin. Ravenous triplets sucked her dry. In the supermarket, she pushed a tank with 3 activated missiles from aisle to aisle. Ruby soon neglected them, preferred to watch the silvery catches in the harbor. Fred hired a nanny, took to her. Ruby took to the fishermen. Both grew into the comfortable coexistence of mutual dislike. Ruby disappeared. Fred drank her health. In the bar that night, a fisherman mentioned that he'd seen a selkie swim out into the Celtic Sea. That's it.
What's are we like? Do we have a theme already here?
Well, I don't know. After Marjorie's dog, I figured I could do a selkie. So, I mean, they don't exist. They're mythical creatures, but some people claim to have seen them.
So it's possible, I guess.
It's always. I love the idea. I love the idea that it's possible.
Yes. Well, very good. That's enjoyed that. Fantastically and realistically. We're going to try to get some of those from my roof too, as well. As long as we're making the effort. What's happening with you down in winter?
I
Rose?
have well, my poetry books are being published in the US, of course. There isn't much going for English poetry in Peru. I have um, um, a little booklet come. What's it? A chapbook come out in June, and another big full length manuscript is looking for a home. And now that it's the 1st of June, there are a lot of poetry journals opening again, and I try to submit. And in my bio, I have now widely published and widely rejected in mostly American poetry journals. So that's it.
Sounds like you have all the bases covered. All the experiences you could possibly have in poetry are happening for you. So well done. Cool. Keep it up. Good luck with the chapbook when it comes out, and thanks for being here today.
I just want to be a rich poet.
When that happens, please do let us know what it's like, because you will be the first, and we'll all be very curious about that. Your poetry mansion is on its way, Rose. Round of applause for Mary Boehm. Thank you so much, Rose. On deck, LB Sedlacek. Please welcome now Trevor Cunningham. Hello, Trevor.
Hi everyone. Today mine isn't really related to there too. I just wanted to read the poem that you published, Rick, in Poetry Superhighway. It's a bit of a longer one. Unfortunately, it's not funny. It's about my struggles with depression, but I hope it doesn't go too much against the grain, that we can hold a kind of thread through the whole thing. All right, just a minute here. Oh, okay. I just called it depression. It is there in the news bites on a Friday night, stabbings at Keelan Wilson after a good time. It is there in the heart space where a great despair settles in, lays eggs like a tapeworm, nurtured on your vital energies, extorting them for other markets. It is there in the sales call, Saturday brunch time, free time, saddled and hassled. It is not there. Poor reception of a basement encased in cement, no concrete. It is there in the category error. It is there in the computer glitches, where non-identity fragments assimilate into the self. We are sense holes. It is there in the relationships with people, augmented by a unified pop-synced soundtrack. It is there in the glib lack of substance, which hasn't rung with the music of the spheres while partaking in sustenance. In a minute, the infinite pierces the sky with white animalcules of light trailing around like water striders on a pond. In the ground at night, I hear the moles crawling if it's quiet enough. It is there in the buzzkill databits with serotonin vacuums. Meanwhile, in the power vacuum, erstwhile happenings. It is there in the busyness, the urgent need for distraction. It is there in the spacious view, impervious to projected coherence, in the play of shadows, in the noosphere. It is there, a goblin in the corner, a cipher of limitless hypodermic signification, laughing at you, laughing because the alternative is a bucket of dread, the vast panglossia of doom and gloom, glops of mud line up on the edges of the rut. It is the glint of moonlight on this dagger. It is the power of nature fiddled with, husbanded. Together against you, the forces collect. Water droplets sticking together to gather in floods and tsunamis to whelm the world. It is on the t-shirt announcing natural born leader. A hapax legomenon of fashion, pouncing on its prey like a caged tiger in a zoo. Plankton, please give up your secrets of photosynthesis so I can vegetate. It is the kraken, the incantatory power of the semantic famine, rhymes too far apart to recognize as such. In the hidden significance, a part to play in the world palsy, a salty tribute to the contributions of the negative formatory of being. In the world, the ghost of a train-traveled tautology can't pop out of the copula. It is in the saturnine indulgence and the soft refulgence of distant fires at night. It is in the racked dreams of a hellish daytime worked over in sleep. The psychological art has fallen into misuse. The part to play in the world play, a palsied moment, a fumble with stiff fingers. Your way of holding the world, intervening in it, tampered with and lingering in the damp breeze, mind elsewhere as these fingers look for house keys, shaking from a deep freeze. In fogged apparitions, were smoke screen? It is in the statues emerging out of the forest and saturated with gray. It is in the Paleolithic kernel inside all of us. Ecclesiastical all time, all the time. It is in the mammalian imperatives, family, nation, territory. We long for the human because it was the best we've ever had. It is in the sirens, the whirlpool, the nicotine addiction, the 50-50 pool. It is in the sirens, indicating the presence of EMS, police, fire paradoxically absent. It is in the vox populus when it is quite simply wrong. It is in the oxen harnessed to the sun. It is in the selection bias. It is in the anthropomorphic meaning web caught frozen. It is the troll under the bridge between the dead and the alive, and on the other side we find the dead are more alive than the alive. It is the glance backward on the side where trust, listening, and security are scarce resources brokered out to experts. Self-imposed solitary confinement with no inhibitions of movement as is proper to the writer. Proper. It is in the self, softly, neurolinguistically programmed. It is in the quasi-legality of strategies, in idol worship, Baconian idols, not Canaanite, of the letter at the expense of the spirit of the law, in the idyll escaped to be documented. And why not, when such is the matter of substance? Okay, so what's happening in my poetry world is
That is what I was about to ask, but go ahead, yeah.
I am working on a chapbook. I was hoping to have it professionally edited in February, but the money I was going to use for that kind of fell through. So um, I'm actually applying for a couple arts grants right now to help fund me finishing it. And I've had today I just submitted to the Plowshares for my annual rejection from them. It's,
It's nice to have traditions.
yeah.
Cool. Well, Trevor, I really enjoyed hearing you read that poem. I just posted a link to where we published it late last year in the chat in case anyone wants to revisit it. They can click over there and see it on our Poet of the Week page where that was put up. I really appreciate you being here. I wish you the best of luck with your chapbook. Or your book. I hope it comes out. I hope you get the money to put it out. Even if you get it amateuristically edited, I think that's a good thing. You mentioned professionally edited. Any second set of eyes on it is a good thing. I think so. There you go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thanks again for publishing that poem.
My pleasure. Come back and read some more. All right, round of applause for Trevor Cunningham. Thank you, Trevor. On deck, Charlie Brice. Please welcome now LB Sedlacek. Hello, LB.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everybody. Great poems so far. I'm really enjoying them on this Sunday late afternoon, is what it's like here, a dreary afternoon. I'm going to read a poem from one of my poetry books, which I have several, but this poetry book is called Simultaneous Submissions, and the name of the poem is Giants in the Sky. Two dueling clouds in the sky, black and dark, a smoky gray, think that they're going to fight or maybe die. They are reminders of parks we've never been to, plants we've never grown, all seeing, all overbearing, encompassing clouds. You fill us with awe and wonder or trepidation, your smoke, your plume rising up like a nuclear mushroom smothering cloud. Is this our warning, our last call from the clouds?
Man, I hope not, LB. But thanks at least for making poetry out of it. How's everything with you and poetry these days?
They're going pretty well. I have been doing a few readings. I have one coming up in July. I guess that's next month now because today's June the 1st, in Asheville, or Ash Vegas, as we call it in North Carolina, North Kakalaka. And so...
Wait, why do you call it Ash Vegas? I'm really curious about that.
I don't know. You know, that's just what we've always called it, is Ash Vegas. There's not really any gambling there.
No.
There's not any. I mean, I don't know if there's any shows, any of those kind of shows there, because that's not my scene. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question. It's probably not called that now after what happened with the hurricane. So, because tourism is really down.
Yeah, I mean, having been to Asheville and having been to Las Vegas, I couldn't think of two places that are more different, perhaps, in America. Yep. Asheville is like a really kind of funky, like alternative place. You know, a lot of down to earth people. Good places to eat and drink, and some fine donuts, I will say. Mm-hmm. Vegas is like a whole world of difference there, but I'm really, have me intrigued as to what the people, the regular folk of the rest of North Kakalaki think about Asheville. Maybe it's just because it's a more liberal place. I don't know. What do you think? Are you still there? Looks like LB has frozen.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing LB. I'm not sure what's going on. LB, thank you for being here. I think we're going to move on. It sounds like looks like there's a connection issue of some kind, and we may never learn the difference between Asheville and Las Vegas as a result. But there you go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your poem. Round of applause for LB Sedlacek. On deck is Judy Brice. Please welcome now Charlie Brice. Hello, Charlie.
Hi. I'm just wondering if what stays in Las Vegas winds up in Ash Vegas. Maybe that's the connection. Maybe that's what happened. Anyway, just a thought, So this poem is a new one of mine. It's called The Heat of the Sun, and I spell sun S-O-N. And the reason I'm saying that is I wind up quoting from Shakespeare's play Cymbeline, and the first line of this beautiful song called, is "Fear not the heat of the sun," and that is S-U-N. But you'll see why I spelled the title with an S-O-N, I hope. All right, so The Heat of the Sun. My mother was in a UPS box atop a tiny stool near the altar. The priest draped a doily over the box. When it was my time to speak, I elegized that mother owned a CB radio. Her handle, Mountain Mama. She once heard a trucker call a Smoky, "Trucker, there's a dog lying out here on I-80. Smokey, is he hurt? Trucker, I don't know if he's hurt, but he's dead. My friend Jack Bauer worked at Mom's restaurant supply store. When he put a carton of glasses on a shelf upside down, she picked up a 100-pound barrel of industrial dishwasher soap and threw it at him, then accused him of giving her a hernia. When my father died, suppliers shipped everything COD. They assumed a woman couldn't manage a business alone in the early 60s. She finagled loans, saved the business, sent me to college. As a final goodbye, I read that beautiful song from Cymbeline, Fear No More the Heat of the Sun. Later, in the service, the priest said something about the Jews, something about their eventual conversion. When it came time for the kiss of peace, I grabbed my Jewish wife, bent her over, laid one on her. I kissed her, she kissed me, and we meant it. We didn't hang around for conversion.
I feel like we've learned some important, intimate details here, Charlie. Thank you. Thank you for that. A lot of great and fun images in that poem. Thank you for sharing it with us. Anything going on with you want to tell us about?
Well, yeah, I have, believe it or not, I got 2 copies left of my new book, Tragedy in the Arugula Aisle. I've wound up selling 118 copies of this book. So it's gone very well, and Judy's got a new book out. She'll tell you about it. And we had a dual launch here in Pittsburgh a while ago, and it just was a great experience. And we have a beautiful poetry community here in Pittsburgh, and you know, so that's been nice. So that's what's new in my world.
Sweet. Well, good to hear about that. Glad you guys are still aware of each other's activities, you and Judy. I'm kind of wondering, she's up next. Do you have to run downstairs with the internet to hand it to her?
I have done that. I already did that before we started. I handed it to her. I kind of threw it at her, actually, and she caught it.
I'm curious as to what how you'll react to this, but maybe you should put in a dumb waiter.
I think we already have that.
I was hoping you'd go in that direction,
yeah,
Charlie.
that's what I am. I mean,
just setting you up to knock it out of the park. That's what we're doing
right.
here.
The boom.
Charlie, by the way, I don't know if you realized, but I just did it maybe yesterday for that matter, but your book, the Arugula book, is now the featured book on the Poetry Superhighway website, Tragedy in the Arugula Aisle. And so that's going to be included in the newsletter that comes out this Saturday and the one after that. So you made it, man. You made it.
Thank you. And I don't know if you saw, but I'm a sponsor. I'm a sponsor of this contest coming up, by God.
I did, yeah. I will directly communicate with the sponsors at a time of my choosing. No, I gather them all, and then just before the contest starts, that's when I send out an email with all the info. But I really appreciate that you're doing that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for featuring that book, my book. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, Charlie, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Charlie Brice. On deck is Kathryn Paulsen. Please welcome now a woman who was just handed the internet so she could do this, Judy Brice. Hello, Judy.
Well, first I had to unmute, and then I want to tell you that we keep eating a lot of arugula. Yeah, thanks to Charlie. So my poem is quite different from that, but Charlie handed me the internet, and you did too. So here we go. My poem is entitled "Who Can Know." Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay. Who can know? How old do you think it is? The woodsman hollered through the leaves, their rustling green, as he made his next try, 90 feet up, muscled legs steady, astride the wide fork between two large and furrowed branches. He clutched his chainsaw firm with strong, steadied hands, feet slung tight, close in loops of rope before they quickly disappeared behind the whispering, that shine of leaves. This tree sure dwarfs these 100-year houses, he bellowed, but not long I'll have it down, the menace that it is, the way its branches cracked so fast in that last blow, its winds fierce, that huge threat of storm. He had no doubt of trees, their peril, and this one especially, how the two limbs had snapped, knocked a whole locust down upon our home. No doubt as well of this great oak's power. Saw it in the trunk's girth, 8 feet diameter at the least, even as it has held so firm in the wind with its wide, its forceful grip. For years he too had felt that strength, known it within, when determined, strong, back those days as a Green Beret, he'd fought battles far abroad, Fallujah, Kandahar, before returning home. Could take any tree now, he knew it. You wouldn't think, but that oak is rotten in its core, looks lovely, full and lush, its foliage so wide, so shiny green outside. I've seen them this way, times before. His voice trailed, lost itself beneath the rustling, the chainsaw's buzz, and just before his body fast lowered itself, ropes and all, to the ground. The vroom of his chainsaw soon picked up again, but was quickly denied any renewed effort to saw across the remains of that final 5-foot stump. Just can't saw into her. The saw gets stuck. I'll try once more. We'll go higher first with my new cut. Just can't seem to figure this one out, he murmured. Another hour of buzzing as wood chips flew high, airborne, as every effort to penetrate that stubborn stump proved impossible. Though of a sudden, a new idea seemed to cross our tree man's mind. In a flash, he reached into his pocket as he then extended his arm, held out his cell phone, flat, straight, and over the surface of the mammoth trunk, as if to encourage it to converse with a distant person thus far unknown to us. His apparent and true goal, a photo, perhaps to reflect the innards of one resistant trunk. And then, in one instant and surprise of a flash, he caught his desired snapshot, one of something mysterious, opaque, inside the base of that wide and massive tree. It's like a metal square, a rectangle, as measured from above, just 2 inches by 1, he murmured, barely loud enough for any of us to hear. Maybe a plant stake, maybe even a piece of rebar. Who's to know? He raised his head to the sky as if tracking a slow-moving cumulus cloud. We buy a house for a while, live there, then throw in some furniture, some kids, enjoy our friends, the garden, and get to know the neighbors as we watch them trees around us grow. But who came before and what they planted or why or how, their paths, their steps, who could figure? Who can know?
Wow, beautiful poem, Judy. Well done. I completely see why you get to occupy the primary floor and all the important aspects of that, and everyone else is relegated elsewhere. Really beautiful piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's going on with you in poetry?
Well, Charlie kind of mentioned it, but I mentioned it last time, but I have a new book out. It's entitled A Whisper Branch, and it's a compendium of some recent poems. And we had a launch about 3 weeks ago, was it, Charlie? Something like that. And so since then, I guess I've been working on this poem. But anyway, I just been chugging along here, and I've been enjoying it. And I, of course, enjoy your monthly broadcast here. That's great. And these poems of your participants are fantastic. They've been great. I went to try to print up Trevor's poem, though, and then I was afraid I couldn't get back. So, Trevor, if you would send me your poem, I would just love it. I'll just list my address here. But, or maybe I'll try and get it. Rick, you said it's published, so I can get back.
Yeah, it was a poet of the week. He was one of the poets of the week in the fall of last year. I pasted a link to it earlier in the chat.
Yeah.
If you click on it, it'll probably just open in a web browser, and then you can just hang on to it till after the broadcast is over, so you're not worried about I don't know, one thing exploding because you've opened another thing. It should be fine though. And I'm sure if you send either of us a message, we'd be happy to point you there as well.
Okay.
Judy, sounds like you have a lot of good stuff going on. The book cover looks beautiful, really striking bird image there on that cover. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sponsoring this wonderful monthly broadcast. And I'm going to contribute a book, so that's on my mind to do. So many thanks for that. Whatever it is, I'll be joining.
Whatever it is, we'll find out together. Judy, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Judy Brice. Amanda Harris, you're on deck. Please welcome now Kathryn Paulsen. Hello, Kathryn.
Hi. Can you hear me? Great. Yeah. So I feel like sometime in the past, I may have read the only sestina that I ever wrote, but I'm going to now read one of the very few prose poems I've written, and it's longer than the sestina anyway. Once the coup was underway, we marveled at the desperation of the undertaking, which of course was doomed to failure by ineptitude of execution and because we live in a system of checks and balances that would no doubt prevail despite all the recent attempts to undermine it. Before the coup, we had speculated about the possibility of such an event, but believed enough of us were wise to the regime's obvious and endless lies, etc., 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 that there was no way a coup could be accomplished, especially given the aforementioned C's and B's of our system. Once the coup was underway, we debated whether that effort was even worthy of being called a coup, lacking as it was, at least for the moment, sufficient men, women, people, things with guns or other implements, machines of war. Anyway, this said-to-be coup was nothing new, but had been going on such a long time, one long for every year, that if indeed it was a coup, it must have started with a pre-coup coup, one accomplished, unopposed, and unrecognized before now. What would day one of such a coup have been if there had already been a coup? Once the coup was underway, we couldn't stop talking about it, especially on our so-called social media, sharing discoveries of reportage, satire, spoofs, podcasts, and histories that might instruct us about how a coup operates and how to analyze this one, if it was one, and what we could do to stop it. Once the coup was underway, we found it therapeutic to critique the appearances of the coup makers, the extra pounds on their overly well-fed, unexercised frames, their hairdos and don'ts, the patterns, colors, and styles of their shirts and ties and jewels, the mysterious liquid sliding down their cheeks, their gleeful smiles and chuckles at their own self-referential jokes about creating the coup, if this was indeed a coup. Once the coup was underway, we offered our ideas, our desires, our fantasies about the likely fates of the perpetrators when, after its failure, they'd finally get what they deserved and be tried, convicted, and jailed for all their thefts, neglects, and treachery. Once the coup was underway, we joked back and forth and back, countless times a day, about the absurdity of it all. Most challenging to joke about was the plague, since the multiplying deaths were no laughing matter. But some of us rose to the occasion and did our best. Once the coup was underway, we welcomed reassurance from those who reminded us of the sturdiness of our system with its C's and B's, and told us there could be no legal justification for undoing an election that had been won fair and square, and by such a large margin. Once the coup was underway, we let ourselves be discouraged from taking to the streets, because if not enough of us turned out in the streets, the presence of so few would naturally be viewed as evidence that the vast majority didn't think a coup was underway, and therefore that none was. Once the coup was underway, we watched it constantly, incessantly, until we couldn't stand watching anymore. And then, continuing to trust our system, we tried our best, with a modest degree of success, to move on to other things.
Well, I think the phrase pre-cuckoo wins the day as far as I'm concerned, Kathryn. That was the best thing I've heard in months, I think. Well done. Really enjoyed that quite a bit. Thank you for sharing a prose poem with us. Really enjoyed that.
And I don't think I've read it before. I can't remember exactly when I wrote it, the first draft, but it's not that new. And one of the things when I was like practicing to make sure that I wouldn't take up too much time, I was like looking at things like maybe it could be tightened a little bit. I don't know. Anyway.
It was a fun ride at its existing length, but of course, anything can be re-looked at and re-edited. I think I like to quote Allen Ginsberg a lot when in terms of editing. He said, "First thought, best thought." I don't know that works for everyone, and that's always right. But I try not to second guess myself that much in terms of editing. On the other hand, there's Walt Whitman, who was wrote one of my, if not my favorite lines of poetry ever, who worked on Leaves of Grass his entire life, constantly re-editing it. So I don't think you can go wrong no matter what you decide.
I don't know that he improved it actually, but anyway.
Maybe not, but he did work on it, was the point. He did. All right. Well, anything else going on in your poetry world you want to tell us about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the same old thing from last month. I have 2 chapbooks published in the last, well, I guess beginning of February. There's this, The Poetry Habit, from Claire Songbirds. And finally, people are beginning to get copies. Catch of the Night is a smaller press. Everything's handmade. Here's Catch of the Night. This is dream theme poetry. And, and I felt like people who've ordered it weren't getting it, and including myself. But anyway, a friend just said she had gotten it. So that's kind of a relief. And doing all the submissions, missed the May 31st, a lot of the May 31st deadlines, trying not to be too deadline driven because, the deadlines never stop.
They never do. Well, good. It sounds like you're on top of it either way, and forward is the direction you're heading in. So good job. Enjoyed that piece quite a bit again, and thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I mean, it's angry, but hey, anyway.
That's okay. That's valid.
Yeah.
Round of applause for Kathryn Paulsen. Thank you, Kathryn. On deck, Aaliyah E. Please welcome now Amanda Harris. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, guys. It's really great to be here, and I got my poem all ready. Okay. So, a while ago, I had scribbled this thing about a chiropractor, and I kind of went back to it, and I thought, well, what the hell kind of poem can you write about a chiropractor? But anyway, here it is. Notes from a chiropractor. When your back becomes a city that screams itself into a forgotten month on the calendar, come see me. When your frantic grief arches the tip of your back like a story untold, come see me. When your slip discs entertain empty nations, come see me. When you're tired and hungry, chase tiny devils in the small of your spine, come see me.
Well, I think you just answered your own question there, but I also think that's a fantastic writing prompt. What the hell kind of poem can you write about a chiropractor? I mean, everyone should be responding to that, I think. Nice job.
Thank you.
Anything you want to let us know going on with you in poetry?
Well, I would like everybody to know that I'm one of the sponsors in this year's Poetry Superhighway contest. So guys, yeah, exactly. If you're gonna get into the contest, you might get like a $15 gift certificate for coffee from me. So guys, enter. Enter, enter, enter.
Can they, if they live in a different part of the world, can they take the coffee gift certificate and go to coffee and imagine they're having coffee with you, like you're sort of auctioning or giving like a coffee date with you even?
Yes, absolutely. You enter, you might get an imaginary coffee date with me. So hopefully that's motivation to enter, guys.
Cool. I really appreciate you sponsoring. I'm realizing now, based on what you're saying and what Charlie said earlier, that I haven't written to sponsors yet, acknowledging, but that I typically do that right before the contest starts with all the info. But so, in case you've sponsored, you will hear from me. There will be gratitude. There already is gratitude, and I really appreciate that. As does everyone who enters the contest who gets something just for entering. So, thank you so much, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
All right, round of applause for Amanda Harris. On deck is Richard Widerkehr. Please welcome now Aaliyah. Hello, Aaliyah.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, sure. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go ahead and read. The title of my poem is called Moonbound. My aunt is of a different kind. She lives in a cottage near the sea. Her home smells of driftwood and thyme, fresh snapdragons on the table and tied in her hair. Wind chimes made of spoons swaying from the pillain porch. In her furthest plot of backyard, there are curtains of stone for our ancestors. Her head wraps are all decorated with the same denim colors of blues, purples, and blacks, with matching skirts that hold wild patterns. Her radiance comes from her sun-kissed freckled face and chestnut eyes. Every new moon, she invites us over to recharge our crystals, meditate, and move freely like the tide in sage-filled rooms. She brews chamomile tea and lets it seep until the pain is forced away. She has a herb for every ailment, sleep, sorrow, and sickness we can't see. I say she's moonbound, while others call her both a beacon and a witch. I think she's neither, and when the spaceship arrives, she will ascend to be with her kind. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic, fantastical ending there, Aaliyah. A lot of fun. Let me ask you to unmute again in case you would like to tell us about anything going on in your poetry world.
Well, actually, I made a slight departure. I just finished 30 Days of Flash Fiction.
Oh, cool.
But I also have been a couple of anthologies. I don't have a book of my own, but I've been put into some anthologies coming out. Some local things, Creative Currents from my county, Arts and Humanities department. A couple of readings. I'm in the DC area. Busboys and Poets. Just finished a reading there with Kaveh Kano, which was amazing. So really great experience. Went through a 10-week process. It was a workshop. I call it a process. I entered there as an amateur as I am, and I left there in awe. So still not a complete poet, but working on it. So
you're definitely a complete poet, and you will be working on it for the rest of your life, I assume. We all just move forward and get better and better as we go on. But I believe you're a poet as soon as you write your first poem. So you're set with that. I went to a Busboys and Poets once. I've never been to a reading there, but I was there on vacation a few years ago, and I thought, well, I at least got to go to Busboys and Poets and eat breakfast where poetry sometimes happens. So that's as close as I've gotten to an event there. But that's cool that you get to be there. They've got like a few locations and all kinds of events that go on there.
Yes, they do. Everyone comes there, and it's amazing.
Cool.
Yes, so that was the highlight of my May.
Nice. Well, hopefully June has something fantastic coming your way. Thank you so much for being here. Good to hear you read again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Round of applause for Aaliyah. On deck is Marieta Maglas. Please welcome now Richard Widerkehr. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Rick. Can you hear me? I think I will read a poem I have not read before. You published it in your Holocaust issue this past April, I guess it was. It was written soon after the events of October 7th. It's called Mercy. When a certain horse of amber resins fetches this message, cut grapes of wrath, divide the spoils. This is justice, asks the horse. You grope blind reins, burn bridges at both ends, leave us in the middle. We who serve you with strong flanks, keen withers, you beat like mules. Cannot see our haze-green eyes are speaking. We are your beasts of mercy, our coats of roan, ice in your mother's and your father's sacrifice. You leave us burning, unhoused, and alone. I don't hear anything.
Richard, sorry, I had to go to the other side of the room for a second while you were sharing that. You muted yourself there? I'll ask you to unmute. Powerful poem. Was really happy to have that in this year's Yom HaShoah Holocaust Poetry edition, which featured a lot of poets, and you've been in that before, and really glad to have your participation in that as well as today. What's happening with you in poetry?
Well, my book, my fifth book, Missing the Owl, I did a reading for that in April at Village Books in Bellingham. I have part of a few more readings in June, and I keep working on old poems and new ones. I like to sing. I'm a musician also, and I perform at open mics and occasionally give shows. And I go to synagogue. Those are my three main things.
Wow. When you say you're a musician, is voice your instrument, or do you play something?
Yeah, I sing and play a guitar. I don't know if you want me to ever. I write my songs too, or I've written some songs. I can sing a song for you on a future show if you want me to do that.
Maybe. I mean, we don't typically do that here, and I don't want to open the floodgates to like it being an open mic for music, but maybe since you've been such a long time participant here in us, that's something that we could work out. I'm particularly interested in that because I also play guitar and sing songs at synagogue, so it's my ears always kind of pop up when I find out about other people doing that kind of stuff too. So good to know.
Thank you. I was singing in a chorus at the synagogue for about 15 years. So I did that too.
Wow, so cool. Is Bellingham near Seattle?
It's about 90 miles north of Seattle. It's about 30 miles from the Canadian border.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Closer to Vancouver, BC, actually.
There you go. I was just there last summer, as a matter of fact. But I've also been to Seattle. I apparently keep jumping over Bellingham. So someday, Richard, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your poem, and talk with you again. Round of applause for Richard Widerkehr.
Thank you.
Thank you. On deck, Lorraine Caputo. Please welcome now Marieta Maglas. Hello, Marieta.
Hello. I have a poem published in Sparks of Calliope entitled Echoing Shells. Bleeding shadows seemingly run away, disappear into the blazing sand. Wet rays hit the skin, change the meaning of the colors. A new song cannot be heard. It is not born yet. Waves covering dead shells, lost steps and destroyed castles. echo with the inner silence. Battleships are eaten imperceptibly by the horizon. The gales remain to scream in the blue while bringing ghosts to the shore. 'Tis a new time in the old one, always different. Nature seems to be the same. Suffering brings peace in an invisible way, in this need for love. Thank you.
Need for love. That's an important thing to think about and acknowledge.
Always, yes.
Marieta, thank you so much for sharing that piece. What's happening with you and poems?
Well, my poem Rondeau Redoublé for Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor has been chosen to be included in the 2025 Natal and Intal Goddess anthology. And my poem Spinning Life will be published in Unlikely Stories 6 also. My poems, The Elders Speak, Dancing Samba Touré, and The Colors of Tahiti have been published in the Creativity webzine. My poem for Marilyn Monroe, has been published in Centenary Poems, and my poems Zen Poem for Peace and the poem Words and Echoes have been published in Lothlorien Poetry Journal.
Well, you are well prepared with an answer to that question, Marieta. Well done. That's a lot of great success since the last time we've talked to you, and it's an inspiration to all of us to see all that, and for us to keep submitting work and hopefully being able to report some similar things in the future. Congrats on all that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. A round of applause for Marieta Maglas. Au revoir, Marieta.
Au revoir.
On deck is Anita Lerek. Please welcome now Lorraine Caputo. Hello, Lorraine.
Hello. I'm going to share one called Meditating Twilight. I sit and watch the clouds pack and travel around the distant Sierra. The western sun blazes the sky. I sit and feel the spray of the wind-whipped water. My loose tresses capture almond blossoms. Leaves scuttle across the pebble and shell beach. Willows and palms bend. I sit and listen to the measured wash of the waves. Arriving geckos chuckle. I sit and hear a buenas tardes. An ancient Kikchi woman stands near the door. The trussed turkey in her thin arms fans his tail. Our star gilds those clouds and silhouettes the mountain's periwinkle. The lake becomes grayer and suddenly coppery peach in the last rays of this day. I wander and find in the growth beneath a tree an orange-colored annonia fruit. Its soft skin ruptures, revealing mango-flavored flesh. Twilight darkens. The palms and willows and almond trees disappear. Venus emerges on the eastern heaven and Mars to the south. Silent lightning throbs. The waves roll more even, more frequent, crashing against the weed-strewn rocks. And the air becomes sultrier as a storm approaches.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Good to hear that piece. I'm getting out my umbrella just in case. What's happening with you in poetry?
Origami Poems Project just released another microchap of my poetry. It's called A Day in the Life, Chronicles from Quito, Ecuador. And I'm hopefully in a couple of months, another chapbook of mine will be released. And there's various other journals I'll be publishing my poetry, narratives, and art in the next few months. And I'm also working on editing out one of my train narratives.
That's quite a lot of stuff to be working on. Good to hear you're keeping busy.
Thank you. And thank you for creating this space.
My pleasure, honestly. Gives me something to do once a month. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, I'd probably just wander outside and I don't know what I'd be doing. Making sure that there's animals on my roof or something of that nature. Lorraine, thank you for being here. Round of applause for Lorraine Caputo. I'm on deck to close out the open reading. Please welcome now Anita Lerek. Hello, Anita.
Done. Okay. Hi there. Rick calls. I'm here. And I want to start rather than end by thanking you so much for your curation. I'm reading a new poem of mine, which is kind of doing the rounds. It's called He Won't Go Away. And I didn't have time to set it up on the computer, so unfortunately, it's on hard copy. I can't erase your mark. If I climbed high, I can't read this very well, my sight. I can't erase your mark. If I climbed high ridges to pierce cocky Scots pines, I could never collect enough resin to rub you out. My fingers remember you, drip you where you would have wandered, in pigments of half girls with torn stockings, across boulevards of giggling, sealed humanity. Dark raincoat, disguised Odin, flaneur, drifting through bars, bookstores, flea markets, you seek out the truth of discarded things. My hand strokes your voice onto canvas. You tell me about your mother's eyes, a prehistoric language, like the alphabet of runes, uttering symbols of hunger, entanglement. She would never let you go. I smear you from Montreal, Ibiza, Bay Street, crossing barriers for a marriage, failed. Quilter Lane, you crash through suburban fences to awaken with midnight flowers. Between the 6:23 p.m. train and cadmium skies, you stretch out along the giant Yggdrasil life tree, spiteful goddess creaking at its roots. Late night office hours, we hang together, wavy zigzag lines rushing, breaking, brush here, here, change the pressure, up on the edge, firing the rainbow. Heard you were found on the bathroom floor, pigment hardened, lifeless, impossible to lift. Raincoat, wandering Odin, our street, our secret, flown away. That's it.
Anita, thank you for answering the call today. I glad to have you back. I know I got to see you at my Cobalt Poets Tuesday night reading, which was a neat treat for me since I normally see you here. So your allegiance is appreciated, and thank you for your great poem. Anything happening with you in poetry you want to tell us about?
I think I'm doing lots of things in different areas, including poetry, but poetry is a part of it all. So I'm taking, I'm taking a run at doing some more political poetry for Indolent Books. Their second coming. I'm sending stuff out, and I'm using my creative powers to get a few business ventures going to help old people. I call it ageless.
That's really cool. And I think I love that your news of poetry is that you're trying to write different kinds of things. I think we focus a lot when we think of the term accomplishments, like, well, did I get something published? Is something coming out? Has there been recognition? When truly the most important thing is the creation of the work and your immersion into the art form. So that's a great piece of news, and I really appreciate you sharing it.
Did this work? Because this is kind of a different variant on my usual Holocaust serious stuff.
It definitely worked.
Okay, so there's hope.
There's definitely
romance and lightheartedness and the death of a friend.
Yeah. definitely a fan of that style. So well done. Anita, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Anita Lerek. She answered the call. She came. She's here. Thank you, Anita. All right, I'm going to close out the open reading with a poem. I've been reading throughout the year from my book, It's Spritz O'Clock Somewhere, poems I wrote a couple summers ago in Italy and ended in Paris. I'm going to read to you the very last poem in the book I wrote after getting home. It's called Digestif. Here in Los Angeles, I'm wearing a t-shirt I put on yesterday in Paris. Socks, too. I was awake for 24 hours, and although my head's eyes first opened in France, they didn't close until my head hit the pillow in Southern California. They want to close again now because the world is large and divided by a daylight and a night that circle the world and appear differently to everyone depending on where they are. I'm barely aware of what o'clock it is and am trying to stay awake as if I've always been here. Tomorrow we pick up the child from the hills. We're going to measure the sound when he returns so we can document the difference between then and now. Enjoy this last page. I'll write more in the future from other places. No one wants a thing to end. This thing has ended. I've already shaved Italy and Paris into the sink. I'll shower the rest away soon enough. This shirt will be the last of it. For now. There you go. A little feeling nostalgic about the end of our trip. I don't know if you watch James Bond films or have been doing that for any number of years. I've been a fan for many decades. Typically, at the end of a James Bond film, if you watch the credits, one of the very last credits is James Bond will return in, and then the name of what the next film is, or maybe just James Bond will return. So I started doing that at the end of my travel books, and the next page after that poem says, Rick Lupert will return, possibly with a live moose. Because at that point, I knew that last summer I'd be heading to Alaska, which I did, and in fact just completed work on my next book, which is called High Moose Alert. And there's a great picture of a moose on the cover. I'm pasting a link in the chat. I just sent it to print. It's coming out officially July 29th, but if you click on that link in the chat, you can read a few poems from it and pre-order it if you would like, or at the very least you can take a look at the cover, in which in fact there is a moose on the cover. So there you go. Really excited about that. Latest in my series of travel books. It will be, I think, my 29th book, but who's keeping track? Thank you all for listening. What a great reading we had today. Thanks to Lorraine, Rose, Trevor, LB, Charlie, Judy, Kathryn, Amanda, Aaliyah, Richard, Marieta, Lorraine, and Anita for giving us a full and rich open reading today. A lot of great poems there today, here today. Our next event will be towards the end of July 27th, I think it is. Yes, at again, same exact time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and other times and other time zones relative to that. We'll be having a conversation with our poetry contest judges. Our contest will have begun by then, and we'll be talking about they'll be giving some insights on what they look for when they read your poem. So that is what is happening there. And then our next open reading, I want to get the date exactly right, so I'm clicking on the link, will be August 10th, same time. So a little bit of ways away for our next open reading. I do host a weekly Tuesday reading that grew out of an LA event that I used to host in person. So if you're pining for poetry, every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, that is That's later than this reading and late for people on the East Coast, but a lot of people come to it every week. It's called Cobalt Poets. If you go to poetrysuperhighway.com/cobalt, you can check it out. There's an open reading. You get to read 2 poems, and I don't ask about what's happening in your poetry world. Not that I don't have an interest, but that's just the format of the event. And there's a featured reader every week, and it's a cool event, so you can check that out if you are interested. I'm going to click the Ask All to Unmute button in case y'all would like to say hi to each other before we check out for the day.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Good job, everybody.
Yes, excellent.
Thank
Yeah, it
you.
was wonderful.
Yeah, this was my first reading. I really enjoyed it. I will be back.
That's nice. That was a great poem.
Thank you.
Very nice
Rick,
poem.
I just can't wait to get a hold of that moose book. I mean, I've had my own encounters and relationships with mooses. Is it mooses?
Mice.
And, yeah. So I mean, I want to see how it went for you.
I'm both curious and frightened about what your experience with moose might be, Charlie.
Rick, can you tell me the difference between elk and moose?
Whoa, God!
Size.
Because I have
Moose are
elk.
bigger.
I have elk experience.
To begin with the horns. I worked 3 seasons in a national park in Alaska, and our housing was right in the middle of moose calving grounds.
Wow.
And if there isn't anything that a grizz lacks more than tender moose veal, we don't know what it is. So going to the bathhouse in the middle of the night was always an experience.
I just asked ChatGPT that question. It said the terms elk and moose often cause confusion because they refer to different animals depending on where you are in the world. So I recommend, I can't share it because I guess I'm not logged into ChatGPT, but
I'm going to have a look.
That ChatGPT response exactly illustrates the greatest failure of AI, because there is a very distinctive difference between elk and moose, and it lies in their antlers. The antlers on moose are what they call palmate. And exactly, Charlie, you got it. That's how we would always
to be fair
to each other that there was a moose nearby.
To be fair, there's it goes into a lot more detail, and in fact in Europe they often call what we call in North America moose, they call elk. So it is kind of a legitimate summary based on where you are, but then it does go into the different behaviors and antlers and things like that. So I don't think we can rule out AI based on the first thing that I said, because there is a lot more detail.
No, in that case, in fact, when I was in Finland, I have seen moose and not elk, because they had shovels, these big shovels.
I have seen both. I'm from Canada.